Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making a game of Mancala. Well, Mancala is, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, a very easy game to play, but it's a strategic game. So what we're going to do on today's show is we're going to make a Mancala board, and I'm going to show you how to play the game. Now, there's many different variations of this game, and I'm going to be showing you the most simple variation. So I've made up a bit of a pattern for this. So let's head over to the bench, and I'll show you what I've got in mind. Well, this is the pattern as it currently stands, and the game of Mancala requires 12 individual wells and then two kind of home wells, one on each side of the board. This initial pattern was meant to be done in two pieces and be hinged so that it could close up and be more of a travel game. So I think that's what we're going to do. Now there's several methods that we can use to make these recesses or these wells, but I think what I'm going to do first is I'm going to use my pattern. I'm going to attach it to some 1/4 inch thick hardboard, and we're going to make a template for this. The very first thing that I'm going to address is this larger home bay section here. There's many ways you can cut this out. The choice is yours. For me, because it's what I'm comfortable with, I'm just going to take this over to the scroll saw and I'm going to carefully cut all the way around the perimeter. Now remember, because this is a template, any irregularities that you add to your cutting, you're also going to pass on to your final game. So just be careful with your cutting. And if you're not 100% confident in your abilities, there is nothing wrong with cutting outside the line and then using an oscillating drum sander to clean it up afterwards. Once you're satisfied with this hole here, we're going to concentrate on the 6 pits or the 6 wells in the half of the board. So we need to center punch one of these holes. Do it very, very carefully. And then at this point, we're going to take this over to the drill press and use that center punched holes to set up our fence. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's head over to the drill press. Now each one of our holes is 1 1/8 in diameter. So I have installed a 1 1/8 diameter Forstner bit. And to use that center punch to set up our fence, I'm going to lower our bit until our center point goes into that center punch, and using light pressure on the bit, I'm just going to slide the fence along until it comes flush with the edge of our board. There, that's it. We are now set to drill at that center point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill all 6 of these holes. Now the way this pattern was designed is that with this fence set, once you're done your 3rd hole, the holes on the opposite side are the same distance from the wall of the game. So you can just rotate your piece 180 degrees and drill your last 3 holes on the opposite side. Well, what good is a template without something to use it on? And that's what this is. We have some cherry 1/2 inch thick, and I have cut it to be the same width as our template, 3 3/8 of an inch wide. So the first thing I'm going to do before I carry on is I'm going to put my template here in place. I'm going to line it up, and we're just going to place some end marks here as to where our template is going to be situated. This is going to represent the end of the board. So we're going to turn this over, line it up, and we can mark our board ends. So this is essentially our working area. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my template, I'm going to use some double-sided tape, and we're going to adhere this down to our cherry right where our lines are that we just drew. Okay, and much like with all adhesives, we're going to clamp this in place and let it set for about 10 minutes. That way you get the best adhesion with the double-sided tape. Well, I added a flat board to my clamping setup just to even the pressure around on our actual template. So What is the purpose of taping this down? Well, this is a routing template. And what I'm going to use is a 1/4 inch shaft, shallow flush trim kind of bowl bit. I'll give you a closer look at that so you know what I'm talking about. And we're going to place it into each one of our template holes, and we are going to route these recesses out. Now just take your time here. You just want to be careful, make sure that you have the proper safety equipment on, and just get them routed. It doesn't take much. And you also want to make sure, as far as your depth of cut, that you're not busting through your 1/2 inch cherry. You want a bowl, you don't want a through hole. Now, one thing I'd like to point out is that in the first round of routing, I did not have a dust mask on. You should not be able to taste cherry. So that's the whole thing here. Get your dust mask on, guys. This does create some fine dust, and you want to keep that out of your lungs. With all of our recesses routed, we're going to take this over to the table saw, and we're going to cut off the ends of this, as well as cutting them to length. Now, as long as you use the stop on your miter fence to cut the pieces, you should end up with 2 pieces that are exactly the same size. Now, if you made this all out of 1 piece of stock, you'll have a board that looks like this. If you made it out of 2 pieces, like what I did, you're going to have this. And we now need to add the hinges that are going to be on the end here in order for this to be opening and closing. So let me show you what I'm going to do for that. Well, I have a ton of these small little brass hinges, and this is what we're going to use on the ends of our Mancala board. However, I want them to be recessed. So let me show you what I'm going to do for that. What I want to do is I'm going to take a 90-degree saddle square. We're going to place it here on our boards on the end where we want our hinges. And I have our 2 boards put together, the same bit that we used in order to cut our recesses. I have raised it up into the router so that it is pretty much the thickness of our hinge. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to run it along the edge of that saddle square to give us a hinge recess on the end of our cherry. Now, before we mount our hinges, I'm going to put a 1/8 round over all the way around the outside edges of our board pieces, and then we can mount our hinges. We're just going to put them in their recesses, clamp this together, and screw them in place using some small brass screws. Well, just before we go through with the mounting of the hinges, you want to give your board a good sanding all over, paying special attention on the inside to the crisp edges around these holes. We want to run some sandpaper around those and break those sharp edges, because your fingers will be reaching into these. Now, we can add magnetic closures here if we want to keep the whole thing closed once our pieces are inside, and that's fine. But for now, I'm going to leave it like this. I'm going to give this outside edge here a good sanding, make sure that everything is nice and smooth and clean looking. And then I guess the last thing to do here is to show you guys how to play. So how do you play Mancala? Well, for starters, the board is made up of 2 rows of 6 pockets. These pockets are called holes or pits. And in each one of those pits, we'll call them, you place 4 pieces or stones. In this case, I have some amethyst stones. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't have to be amethyst, it doesn't have to be stones, and they don't have to be any particular color. So we're going to put 4 in each one of the 12 pockets. Now, each player has a store or a Mancala, and that is located to his or her right of the Mancala board. Now, the object of the game here is to collect the most pieces by the end of the game. Now, the game begins with one player picking up all of the pieces in any one of the pockets on his or her side. Each player has control of 6 pits on their side of the board. So now, moving in a counterclockwise direction, The player now deposits one of the stones in each of the pockets until the stones run out. If you run into your own Mancala or your store, you deposit one piece in it and now you have captured that piece. If you run into your opponent's Mancala, you just skip it and continue moving down to the next pocket. If the very last piece that you drop lands in your own Mancala, you get to go again. You take another turn. If the last piece that you drop is in an empty pocket or an empty pit on your side of the board, you capture that piece and any pieces in the pockets directly opposite on your opponent's side. Always place your captured pieces in your Mancala or your store, and that way they're easier to count at the end. Now the game ends when all 6 pockets on one side of the board, it doesn't matter which, is empty. Once those are empty, the game is over. Now, the player who still has pieces on his or her side of the board when the game ends, they end up automatically capturing all of those stones and placing it in their Mancala. At this point, you can just count all your pieces. The winner is the one with the most pieces. A very simple version of this game, a very easy game to play, and honestly, it's quite a bit of fun. And there you have it, a Mancala game. There are plenty of different versions of this game. This here that I've shown you on today's show, this is just the most basic of basic Mancala versions. And if you want to look further into it, you can. There's all kinds of tutorials online about how to play the game. They don't all have 12 little dishes. Some of them have many, many more. I was quite surprised at the different varieties, but this was the most simple and the easiest to bring here to the show to make it accessible for everybody. Now, one of the best things I like about this is that if you use a template and do the routing method that I showed you, there's many other methods if you want to figure it out and try to do it. You don't have to do the method I've shown you. But if you do the method that I showed you here today with that flush, trim, shallow bit, you can pretty much do this in an assembly line. And if you make your template a little longer to give yourself clamping wings on the outside, you don't even have to bother with the double-sided tape, which will speed up the whole process. So you could conceivably make a bunch of these in one go in an afternoon, have 10 of them under your belt, and then it's up to you. Crafting markets, Etsy, you could do it, say, as gifts for friends and family, knocking off 10 gifts in one shot in one afternoon. It's brilliant. Now, the game pieces. You can use whatever you want. I had these little amethyst stones that I had over in my tool chest, but you can use anything that you wish. It can be coins, it can be marbles, it could be, I don't know, beads. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be the amethyst stones. I just had them and I used them because I thought they were kind of fun. It can be anything as long as they fit in that dish and you have the right number. I don't think the point is what you use for the pieces. The point is that you have something to use so that you can play this game. Truth be told, if you don't want to make the board, you don't really have to. You can play this game very easily by printing up the pattern on my website and just using the pattern pieces on the paper. It's the board. It still works. What you can do is by doing that, you can see if the child or the person that you're hoping to make it for, maybe if they have an interest in it after playing it on the paper, then you can go through the time and the expense or the effort, we should say, of making one of these boards for them. But using the paper patterns as a board and trying it out to see if you like it, nothing wrong with that. Now, I've added laser engraving to mine just because I can and just because it's fun and just because I enjoy it. Also, I have the accessibility to that. But if you don't, don't worry about it. You don't have to do it, but the laser engraving does give it that little extra professional touch that makes it look absolutely amazing. And if you are going to be giving these as gifts, who knows? If you have access to a laser engraver, adding those accents can really take your project from this level to this level. So it is up to you whether or not you want to do that. Either way, it's a fun project, it's a quick project, it's easy to do, it's accessible to everybody, and on top of that, the game is fun to play as well. So you might want to give this one a try. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed the project. If you haven't already, if you found any part of today's show interesting, fun, informative, likable, why not like and subscribe to the channel? We have an incredible audience base, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of that. As always with shows like this, the pattern is available for free downloads on my website. You can just visit acutabovewoodworkings.com, click on the free pattern section. You'll find all the free patterns, a photo of the finished project, as well as the accompanying tutorial video or today's show. So give that a try. If you want the pattern, it's there for the taking. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to take advantage of the free pattern on my website. I hope you're going to give this a try and make a bunch of these for gifts for your family and friends. But more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.